More craziness in Europe with the EU pushing ahead with a Dutch plan to buy out farmers in a bid to cut emissions. Joining me is Webster University Assistant Professor Ralph Schoellhammer. Ralph, this plan is just crazy. The Dutch farmers are amongst the best in the world, yet they are under attack from environmentalists.
Yes, I mean, it's a pattern that we see throughout the West. It doesn't matter whether it's coal and gas in the United States, or whether it is cows in Ireland, nuclear power in Germany, or the farmers in the Netherlands. This is a general trend we see in the West, which is, you can call it a revolt against modern life, a revolt against the modern world. And this is what we're up against. Unfortunately, I think those like you and me who see the problem, we always sometimes tend to get lost in the battles and don't see the war for what it is. And that is a mistake the environmental movement does not make. If you listen to how they talk, like they shift easily between smaller topics, Dutch farmers, nuclear power plants, to the larger plans, the abolishment of capitalism and the end of Western civilization. But I think we have to take this ideological threat for what it is.
We do, and I think so many people are blind to that. They're blind to the end goal, and they do get obsessed with the detail. But on the detail, we do know the Dutch farmers are angry. They fought back. Their fellow countrymen seem to support them. We saw the farmer citizen movement win the majority of seats in the Dutch Senate on the back of the farmers' protests. But still, the politicians are pressing ahead. And this scheme is not cheap. It's going to cost over €1 billion, and it's going to have a really detrimental effect on the agricultural industry in that country. What is the impact for Europe in general? Because it's not going to stop with the Dutch farmers, is it?
Well, what Europe is currently doing is it goes down a primrose path of poverty in the future. As you just mentioned, if you make food more expensive, if you make energy more expensive, everything else is going to get more expensive as well. And we recently heard, I know that the United Kingdom is no longer part of the EU, but you had a member of the Bank of England who openly said in an interview, well, we have to make peace with the fact that we will be poorer in the future. Now, that's easy for him to say, but if we look at the history of revolutions, both ancient ones and more modern ones, this is how it starts. People do not accept forever that they're simply going to get poorer, poorer, and poorer, and that their children will be worse off than they were. At some point, that anger will turn against the political system, which we see partially in the Netherlands. We saw it in Italy. We see it in Hungary. We see it in France at the moment. We see it partially in the United States, where the political system is luckily that the media has built a fortification around Joe Biden. But we see this anger bubbling up again and again, and I think at some point it will be harder to control. The question is it going to be too late? And let me add one thing, because I'm sure that your listeners feel the same way. I'm sure that all over the West, people feel the same way, but they don't dare to say it. So I take this upon me to say, we are governed by incompetent people. This needs to be said. One of the reasons why the environmental issue is so high up on their agenda, they cannot really accomplish anything within their countries. So since they can't save their nations, they want to save the planet. But this is all a smokescreen. We recently had just one example, the Energy Secretary in the United States, Jennifer Granholm, who wants to run the entire American military on electric vehicles. So the M1 Abrams tank would run on a 40-ton battery. This is insanity. We have the German Minister for the Environment saying now energy is going to get cheaper after we shut down overall 19 nuclear power plants. So they are literally in a war against the laws of physics. And you see the same in the Netherlands, where they say, well, if we have fewer farms and less livestock, then there will be cheaper prices for food. It's not going to happen. So we need to name this as it is. They are gaslighting us and making us believe things that either they believe themselves, that means that they have no clue and they're incompetent, or it is worse and might even be malice in some cases. But we have to face the fact that in the past, previous generations made us so rich that we could afford to be stupid, but gradually we are no longer that rich to afford to be that stupid. And I think that's what we have to realize.